You're listening to the Intuitive Souls Podcast. I am your host, Erica Russo, psychic medium and intuitive development coach. This show is all about giving you the conversations, tools, and wisdom you need to live life the intuitive way. Whether you are waking up, wanting to develop your intuition and connection to spirit, or wanting to live a more magical life, I got you covered. I give you grounded, practical, and insightful content that helps you wake up, level up, and connect with your soul. I'm excited you are here. Let's wake up together. Hey guys, welcome to the Intuitive Souls Podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. I'm really excited that the universe led you here. If you are an OG and you keep coming back, you keep listening, growing, expanding, learning to trust your intuition, living your life with intention, what the fuck is up, guys? Thanks for your support. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for, supporting this podcast and my small business. You guys make this so easy for me and you make it so enjoyable. And I am so grateful for each and every download, each and every comment, each and every like. I just thank you. Thank you so much. You guys are making my dreams come true. With that being said, if you are enjoying this podcast, if it is giving you the conversations, the tools, the tips, the tricks that are allowing you to trust your intuition, to take control of your life, to use intention as your greatest asset, if you can head on over to iTunes and write a review, those reviews allow me to get this podcast to the ears that need to hear it. And now more than ever, I think we can agree we all need a little bit of inspiration because, it's kind of fucking crazy now. Life is crazy in general, to be completely honest, but that's just my take on the world. With that being said, if you go ahead to iTunes, write a review, make sure you take a picture or a screenshot and send it to me at hello@ericarusso.co, no M. And as a thank you for taking a couple of minutes out of your busy life to support this podcast, I want to send you some subliminals or maybe a guided meditation. I don't know. I'm going to let my intuition guide me, but I do want to send you a thank you for doing that. With that being said, there is so much going on behind the scenes. There are so many changes happening, so many different exciting collaborations that are going on. As you already know, I just connected and we started Intention Kitchen with Meg Vanderkruik of This Mess Is Ours. That is going to be a monthly series where we're just going to talk about how to bring more intention into your life, specifically into your kitchen, as well as let your intuition come into the kitchen and share with you some rituals and some simple recipes to bring more spirituality into your life. I mean, how easy can that be, right? So be sure to tune in with those episodes. Those are going to be every month. We are actually going to record November's very soon, and I'm really excited about it. But with that being said, I am really, really excited about my new 12-month mentorship package. This is called the MYSTICMIND experience. This is a 12-month mentorship package that gives you access to every single one of my workshops that I do within the 12 months, as well as all my courses, coaching programs, and the Intuitive Life Society, on top of one-on-one monthly access with me and 2 masterminds each month. This is so exciting. I am so excited about it. This is really going to be the shit. I'm not going to lie. I'm really fucking pumped for this because I feel like this would have been the thing that I needed when I was really set the intention to develop my psychic and mediumship abilities, because it's going to give you so much, and I'm so excited for it. Because this is the first round, this is going to be beta pricing, guys. The first couple of people that are going to be MYSTICMIND members are going to get in for a very low price because I want to make sure that the energy is right and I want to make sure that the group is right and all of that. If you are interested in learning more about the Mystic Mind experience, head on over to my website and fill out an application. And if I feel like you might be a good fit for this, I will get in touch with you and we will set up a discovery call. I'm really excited about this, guys. This is going to be a lot of mediumship development as well as some trance work, trance mediumship, just healing. I'm all in my feels, guys. I'm feeling it right in my heart chakra. I cannot wait for this to start. This is going to start next month, so you do have time to fill out an application. With that being said, in this week's episode, I connect with Sabrina Rollo. She is an incredible healer. She is the owner of Vigor and Sage. She is a Reiki healer, a yoga and movement teacher, a past life regressionist, as well as a sound healer. She is actually one of the incredible circle leaders in Intuitive Life Society. She does a monthly yoga and movement class for us, and it's absolutely incredible. It actually inspired me to do some intuitive yoga movement stuff this morning, and I very much enjoyed it. So with that being said, we're talking all about past lives. She gives us the rundown, the lowdown, and it's a really great episode, especially if you're interested in learning more about past lives. Be sure to follow her on Instagram at Vigor and Sage. She is wonderful. I'm so happy. Okay, guys, I am really super excited for this week's episode. I have Sabrina Rollo here of Vigor and Sage, and we are talking all about past lives. I'm really super excited you're here.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
So, past lives. I've spoken briefly about my experiences with past lives, and Sabrina is absolutely incredible at what she does. She's not only a past life regressionist, but she is also a yoga and movement teacher. She does sound healing. She does Reiki. She is one of the circle leaders inside of Intuitive Life Society. And today, I really wanted to talk about past lives because I have found such tremendous healing within my own journey in discovering some of these aspects of myself that I didn't even know existed. So I'm interested how you came to find past life regression.
Okay. Well, I think like many people, as I started coming into adulthood, or maybe even after I became a mother, and I saw my own children, growing up, I recognized how interested I was in metaphysics and energy as a kid, and started to allow myself to just come back to that childlike wonder. So I had already been, qualified as a yoga instructor and Reiki and breath work. And I just found that while all of those things were incredible and had shifted my life in so many ways, there were still cycles that were happening that I kept catching myself in and kept questioning, like, why do I keep doing this? Or why do these types of people continue to come into my life and affect me so similarly? And then once, restrictions came down on us and we were quarantined and in home, I just thought, what can I do that would benefit my future self? And past life regression just kind of came into my peripheral as it does. It kind of kept popping up. And so I just started exploring that on my own. And I had one particular like past life experience where I was able to unblock like a really deep rooted fear for myself. And so once it works for me and I feel something, I then want to share it. And so that's how then I like want to then learn about it and I'm like, oh, it works. Everyone should, have the opportunity to explore this. So
I love that. So I've come to realize too that I've had many past lives. And I do believe that it's not just one particular past lives, but there's a lot going into this. I think that people think that it's one session, one guided meditation, and all your wounds are healed. But I just don't think that's the case. Truly, I believe that so many lifetimes probably have similar lessons involved, and maybe we learned them, maybe we didn't. But I do believe that it's definitely a process. And every time that I've done PLR of any kind, I have noticed a new life comes up, a
Mm,
new problem, a new insight. And so much of it is so relevant in my life today.
totally. Totally.
So, since you offer past life regression and um which is amazing, guys, by the way. I was privileged to actually go through a past life regression with Sabrina, and it brought up some stuff. It brought up some stuff. But how has how as you as a PLR person, how have you seen others work through things that maybe they didn't even know existed?
Yeah, that's a great question. So part of the way that past life regression works, I mean, there is like many healing modalities, you have to believe in it. You have to believe that there is a possibility of having a past life, or past life memories. And then our subconscious retains so much. I think it's like 80% or above 80% of the lens through then which we then go on to experience our lives. So I'm gonna say it works best because it's so individual, but when we can attach an emotional intention to our regression, what we tend to find more of the quote unquote answers that we're looking for. So I have found people come in with particular things on their plate. I've been in a series of unhealthy relationships, or there's this particular pattern that I continue to experience over and over again. And when we genuinely, on a deep subconscious level, are ready to move on or to disengage from that pattern, past lives or past life regression, in my experience and what I've seen with clients, is it's a validation. Really, it's a knowing that, like, yes, this is beyond me and like the choices I'm making today, that there's a little something more there. There's a reason, there's a fear, or there's a reason that this lesson continues to come up. And so I found with clients that once they get that validation of like, yes, I was harmed in a past life, or yes, this fear I'm having, I saw that and I understand why, it just kind of dissipates or transmutes, if you will. There's no necessarily like, oh, now I have to do all these things. It's just, yeah, I was feeling that way. That is validated, and it kind of transmutes that energy, and it like belittles the fear, if you will. Um, yeah, and I think that it also helps people connect deeper within themselves, and that knowing that they have that's there, that they can trust that, like, I did see this, I have seen this in dreams, or I knew this thing about me, or I've always been connected to this, time frame or period, and things like that. So it's a lot of validation, which I think helps.
I love that. And I love the fact that you said, well, first you need to believe in it. Because it is true. I think that, anything with esoteric past lives, spirituality, angels, the first step is believing in it. And belief is so super powerful. I mean, I for me, that's the first step. You need to become aware. And if you are questioning it, I think that you're going to have a harder time really being able to process the whole regression, to be completely honest, because you're just going to question whether it's, and my biggest thing with past lives is, obviously everyone knows I love to meditate and everything like that, but like diving into past lives for me has really made me see a lot of my shadow self and
Mhm.
why I do certain things, and why I act certain ways, and why I get so defensive when this particular thing comes into my existence and everything like that. And I think that it's such a powerful, powerful tool for personal development, because we all have our shit. We all have a shadow. We all have things that we're not necessarily proud of, and that's okay. But I think that if we give ourselves grace, and I think with, honoring our past lives, it's really helping us heal in this life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, Again, like I had a really rough March. And I did share, some of the experiences that I was going through as far as past lives were concerned on the podcast. You can definitely check that episode out. It's called I'm Retiring. But it shows how vulnerable you can become as a soul when you start to unravel who you really are at the soul level. And I think that past life regression is just such a powerful tool. But I also think that we have to just be mindful, because I think that people will use past lives as, like, I don't know, excuses, I want to say.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, totally. I
you
mean,
know,
anything outside of ourselves is like, oh, it must be
right,
Mercury retrograde. It must be
right.
past life. It must have been this, for sure.
Right, right, and it's just I just wanna be mindful, because, there's people that, like, use their astrological placements and their human design, and, "Oh, well, this past life made me, act this way or be fearful of this," and everything like that. We can't use it as excuses. Like, that's my biggest thing. All of these things, our natal charts and PLR and all of this, we have to use them as tools. We have to use them for awareness, not as excuses. I can't
Right.
tell you, like, how many times I get so irked when somebody's like, "Oh, it's because, I have a Scorpio moon." Oh, come on.
I mean, I think that that's the thing is once that's validated for you, I definitely, I always talk like, oh, I'm a Gemini and it's Mercury retrograde. But it's not that I can make an excuse. It's that I need to then become more aware that this is a time that I need to concentrate on different things, And
Love
so,
that.
yeah, you just need to, they are tools. And if you do relate and feel validated by those tools, then it doesn't mean you get to like skip over all the work. It now means you know where to start your work and to dive in
Thank
deeper,
you.
you know.
Yes, exactly. Like, that's like the biggest thing, is just like I get so sick and tired of people using this stuff as an excuse for their shitty behavior.
Totally. Oh my gosh, totally.
Like, I have, I got some choppy placements here and there, but, like, I've learned that it's like I can't use, my aloofness and just say, "Oh, it's because 'cause I'm an Aquarius." I can't do that, guys. If I
Right.
can't do it, you can't do it.
Right.
Use these tools to better yourself, not to find excuses for the things that need healing.
Right. Or other people's, like, oh, where they're such a this. It's like, well, they're a human with like multifaceted parts about them. And if what you're seeing their Libra or their Scorpio energy, whatever, if that resonates with you, then that's a chance for you to be compassionate, but don't make excuses for them or to even compartmentalize people into such these, just labels.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know we always want the easy, we always want the
Right.
easy answer, but that's rarely the case. So
No, and nothing, and I think that, like, when it comes to starting your spiritual journey and learning more about spirituality and, the occult and all of this kind of stuff, it's so fascinating and it's so alluring and it's so intimidating at times, but it should come with a warning label. I mean, I don't, between breath work and PLR and all of these healing modalities and everything, it really should come with a warning label, because there's going to be things that are going to come back up into your energetic field, and it's going to rock your world.
oh, for sure. I mean, it almost should. That's kind of why you're doing it, because you want
Right.
to change. That there's, even if it's on a subconscious level that you're not happy or, as content as you could be, or, self-fulfilling or whatever it is, that's why you're looking to these things and exploring these modalities. So, yeah, I mean, I think, while we call them healing modalities, it's hard. It's very hard. And it definitely brings things up that then require even more work, and even more compassion and nuance for yourself. But yeah, I mean, I've had several times I've done, breath work and then cried in my car for 45 like, now what? Like I didn't want to remember that for a reason, but our bodies are so intelligent. Our subconscious is so intelligent, and that's part of why past life regression is powerful for a lot of people, because you don't need to know consciously. You just need to be open to receiving the messages, and trusting the process that you're going through, and then continue to do the work once you've kind of seen the light of certain things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
That definitely, I love that you said, like, it kind of shines a light. And I can't tell you how many times I've had instances where I've had peeks into past lives, and you'll recognize someone that's current in this life in another life. You'll
mm,
just know it. You'll just know that was, this person is they were this character in this life for me, and now they're this person in this life. But you can see why the chemistry of that particular relationship might be dicey.
oh, for sure. I mean, both positive and negative, if you will. You might, maybe your husband or your partner or your close friend, I've known this person. I just feel so
Mhm.
familiar with them. And yeah, I mean, I do believe, and in my experience myself and with clients, that there are members of people in our lives today that are in our soul group that do travel, and they don't always play the same role, you know what I mean? But
Mhm.
they might always play the supportive role. It might be like a parent in a past life or a teacher or something. But generally, the role is the same. So if there's something maybe toxic or feels difficult or unhealthy, that person probably has played that similar role in past lives. And that's where past life, regression can be helpful, because it does validate that, yeah, that experience, I've gone through that before. That's why this feels familiar, and I want to change that now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely, I mean, for me, there's a lot of, not a lot, but there's a handful of relationships that I've just learned more and more about, and just the chemistry and the history between us at the soul level. And it doesn't make it easier in this life. It
No.
really doesn't. It makes it a little bit more complicated, if you ask me, just because it's like, I know why we've never gotten along. I know why we've never seen eye to eye. I know why you decide to look at me like this in this particular way in this lifetime. And it it definitely is hard. It's hard, but I think it also helps with forgiveness.
Yeah, I mean, that's an element that I personally add into every past life regression. It wasn't something like I was specifically trained to do necessarily, but I have found for myself that that is why I go into past life regression, is to forgive either parts of myself or parts of other
Mhm.
people, or like cyclical lessons. And I think that is huge. And I think you're right when you say, like, it does make things harder. And there is that kind of, ignorance is bliss. The more aware you are, the harder things are, because you can't unknow what you know. And now you
Yeah.
have to take action. Um, and yeah, I think there's also this element of just, while we're all here, and we're learning lessons, sometimes we're a part of someone else's lesson.
Mhm.
And that's our lesson, right? Is that, like, oh, this isn't always about me. Someone needed this experience with me to learn their lesson as well. And how do I detach myself and from that entanglement?
Yeah. Oh God. Oh, that gave me goosebumps.
Uh,
It's sometimes it's not you learning the lesson. Sometimes you're the lesson for somebody else. Damn. Sabrina, mic drop right, right there. Cause it's the truth. We really don't know. We really don't know that much. The more I do this work, the more I realize how little we know.
Well, and totally. And I think for me, the more I do this work, the more I realize how interconnected we are. There's
Mm,
no one person that has no effect on anybody. Like every choice you make and the way you show up in the world, I genuinely believe in the ripple effect. And that's why I think it is so important to connect with yourself and to have that sense of validation and understanding, because you are, affecting other people, whether it's, people in your home, or, you go to a coffee shop and it's the barista, all the things that you do, it's all connected. It's at the like 6 degrees of separation or whatever. It's like 1 degree, really. It's like
mm,
there's all of that. And I think, I think that while that's hard and that feels almost like a responsibility, there is that like, I'm not here by myself. This isn't just about me. And if I just can like surrender into the process and the experience of this journey, I know I'm going to get back what I need.
yeah. Oh man. Yeah. So how can past life regression help? Like, what are some of the benefits of having a one-on-one past life regression?
They definitely help, they can help break cycles. Like I said, if you're feeling like, most often people come in, or the cycle that seems most easy to spot is relationships, romantic relationships. So if you're just like, I continue to, meet these same people and have these same situations, you might find that in a past life you were treated a certain way. And so that's what you learned to do. It can help with fears, like deep rooted fears. Like for me personally, I'm just like deeply, deeply afraid of snakes. It was just like
Me too.
it's just a thing where I couldn't even like see it on TV. I couldn't even see it in a book. It would make my whole body like, bleh. And the more I just kept wanting to be like, I don't like being afraid of things. Like, I don't even know why that I'm afraid of
Hmm.
this. So I kept like kind of that focus, which is what am I afraid of? And, you can run deep with that, but what a snake's, kind of symbolize is change and transformation. And when you start looking at it that way, you're like, okay, I am afraid of physically snakes, but also maybe I am a little afraid of change. Maybe I am a little afraid of, a hidden, predator in some way or whatever it is. And you start looking at those things. And like I said before, you can't unknow what you know. So it just shifts the way you then perceive that in your life. Um, I think also being deeply connected with yourself and like you were saying before, just believing. I mean, I think a lot of people come in quite skeptical, which is totally fair. And then you have an experience and then you have a validation and then you can trust yourself and you're on the right path. And um, that's a huge benefit of it. It helps you to really, I mean, the main benefit is to release unhealthy patterns, to be honest, but you can also encourage healthy patterns. I'm new to this situation and I want to keep this going for myself. How can I, look into that and make sure that this is something that I continue and I release this unhealthy pattern. Um, it also
Mm.
helps with, I'm just trying to think like, oh, the amazing benefits. It helps with creativity. Personally, I find like the more validated I feel in my life, the more I can trust and I can be vulnerable and I can be open and show up in places. So it helps, with creativity, coming back to yourself and remembering like who you really are and what really brings you joy and peace in this life. Yeah, and it just informs like how you show up every day. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. I love all of that. I think for me, past life work, it's I I'm just very acutely aware of what I do and just my surroundings and how I behave and everything like that and my triggers.
mhm,
And some of these triggers are just not from this life. They're just
mhm.
nothing happened in my childhood. Nothing nothing here in this life ever brought this up within me or these wounds up. And it's with past life that I was able to see so many cycles um, that affect the way that I will negatively react to something in this life
Totally. Or even positively, if in a
or
past
even yeah.
experience, you were like, oh, I played this role. And you're like, well, that makes so much sense that I then continue to play that type of role in my life now, caregiver or whatever it is, for
Yeah.
sure. And also I think, attraction to certain places,
Mhm.
physical locations. I find, people be like, gosh, I've always been really into like Asian culture, or, whatever it is, or I always really felt connected to, this certain place when I travel, or the ocean. And you might find that like through a series of past lives, you always lived by the ocean, or you didn't, and you always wanted to, and things like that. It really does help, like a lot of other tools, just validate what you already know. And I think that for me, the way I practice these modalities, it's like a coming home to yourself. We lose that along the way through social conditioning and our environment and, nature of growing up. And then we kind of come into this awareness of, oh, I used to like these things, or I've always been attracted to this, or what does that say about me? And that feeling of coming back into what you know is yours.
Yeah. Oh man, you're just getting me all in my feelings right now because I'm just like thinking, I'm like, it's really true because it's such the way the way we should see this life, I believe, is just one sliver to the whole pie that is who you are. It really is. This is such, this experience, this human experience that we're in right now is really just a sliver. It's just a sliver of who you are and the experiences that you at the soul level are going to experience. And when we start to see all of the things that we've accomplished within our past lives and our future lives, it's really incredible. And you
Mhm.
really start to see like, you could have been a soldier, you could have been a priestess, you could have been a doctor, whatever it is. And when you are able to see what you've already accomplished, what you have already been through, the trauma that you've already been through at the soul level, you really start to recognize how powerful you really are,
Totally. Oh my gosh, yes, exactly.
you
Exactly.
know? And that's why I think PLR is just so powerful, and I think it's such a amazing. I don't even know, do you consider it a healing modality? Because I think it's a healing modality.
I do. I mean, that's the way I approach it when I guide people through. And I mean, and to note on that, healing is hard. If you go to talk therapy, if you work out at the gym to heal your body, or you take yoga, it's not easy. It's not an easy, oh, that was great. Like, it's there, to shed a light on whatever it is that you're, searching for. And I think that's part of the humanness of us all, is we're always searching for something outside of ourselves. And I think at least the modalities I practice, they guide you back in. And that's
Mm.
sometimes the hardest thing, because then you realize, like, it really is on you to change. It really is on you to affect yourself, and to guide yourself, is that the outside world doesn't have the answers. The answers are within. And we have to quiet ourselves down enough to get back to that.
Yep. Love that. It sounds,
Unfortunately.
yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. Or fortunately, however you look
Yeah.
at
Yeah. So I would love to know if there's someone listening right now, maybe they are going through something, maybe they are just starting their healing journey, their spiritual journey, maybe they're interested in learning more about their past lives. What are three pieces of advice that you would give them?
So I'd say for past life regression, at least specifically, is it might not, quote unquote, work the first time. In fact, like for me, it took several experiences with past life regression before I could release the control. Like,
Mm,
there's resistance there, because it's scary to go in and have the answers kind of come forth. So just to know that, like anything else, to give yourself the time and patience to practice and to be new at something and to be a beginner and to keep going back if you feel called to it, because we do form so many walls of control. It takes,
yeah.
brick by brick to kind of be like, no. And at least in my experience, and the way I hope to guide my clients, is that the more you can try these new things and be vulnerable with yourself, and they're safe, and you're in a safe environment, you're like reteaching yourself. So with that, the advice is just to like be patient and to see it as a practice, not as like an ending or like the answer is there if I just get it right. Like there's no wrong way. There's no wrong way. You just keep showing up, and with more information, you get better. So definitely, practicing the ability to release control would be my first piece of advice. My second, which I'm always, working on personally, is to trust yourself. I mean, with any healing modality, but especially one where you're being guided into something, you have to trust yourself. Whether it's the imagery that you're seeing, the experience that you're feeling, the clairs that come up for you, if you're smelling something or you just know something, like, yes, you do. Yes, you do. You know that. You don't have to defend why. It doesn't matter, So just trusting yourself, and in turn, trusting the process, That doesn't mean that every single step we take on the path is the best step we could be taking. Sometimes we misstep and we fall a little bit, but that's a part of the journey. And just trusting that you are always going to survive, and you're always going to be moving in the direction that you need to for yourself. Which I guess, my third piece of advice kind of backs up to, and these are all things that I think just the way I work too, there are things that I'm learning within myself that I hope to help others shine a light for themselves. But it's just to disengage sometimes, just to disengage from the outside world. I think with social media, and especially nowadays with everything being so virtual and things like that, is just to quiet down, to quiet down and to remember that the people outside of you don't have the answers. They don't know you. They don't know your life. They're not in your shoes. And when we give that power away, when we look outside of ourselves, we lose ourselves, and we have more questions and more problems and more cycles that we're unaware of. So, the best thing you can do is to disengage and to reconnect with yourself. And hopefully the modalities that you're leaning towards and you're experiencing and you're trying guide you back to yourself, and that they guide you back to your intuition, and knowing for yourself. Yeah.
So I'm also curious. I have one last question. You spoke briefly about, kind of the surrendering, letting go. I know I have a hard time with it. Do you have something that helped you in the surrender process?
I'm trying to think, I think the first couple of times I did past life regression, just to keep it to that specifically, because I guess the overarching answer would be I practice many different things. So I'm hearing different parts of myself, whether it's movement, it's breath, it's, sound, meditation. Those are all different ways for me to receive answers to the questions. But past life regression specifically, it took me, a good handful of times. And I think the first couple of times I kept having imagery of movies, and I kept being like, I'm doing this wrong. This is not a past life. This is a movie. And then stopping and being like, well, what is that message telling me? What is that connection? And I guess the surrendering was reminding myself that you can't live your life wrong. You can't be wrong in your own life. So whatever is showing up for you, or in whatever, place in your journey, is the right place for you. And the more that I would push and I'm going to do this, and it would just backfire in my face and blow up, and life just got even harder. So the more I was just like, okay, you need to take action and be, participate in your life, but you can also acknowledge that, it's bigger than you, and to allow the energy of life to help make your life easier. That makes sense.
I do like that. Yeah. Just knowing that it's bigger than you.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like I get this idea of being on a surfboard. And I don't surf or anything, so it's not super personal, but you could be swimming in the ocean, or you could be on a surfboard, and just it's going to carry you either way. But do you need to be the one, huffing and puffing and trying to get yourself somewhere? Or can you just direct yourself and allow yourself to have a little board, have something to guide you that way? It's not easy, like most things, it's not easy. And we're good, we're better at it sometimes than we are others. But I think, back to what I said, the more you can kind of quiet yourself, the more you see if you're pushing, or if you're, if you're pushing because you want some kind of external validation or external, form of attention in some way, or if it's really you that needs this. And I think that's the hardest part, is it's just like, oh, I know everyone else is happy when they have like $5 billion, but like, that's not making me happy. So now what, and just coming back to what is it that I require in my life? And it's not going to be the same as other people. And I doubt it's going to be the same as what you've been told you need to live. So, I think sometimes getting the things that you want and realizing that they didn't change the way you feel helps you surrender into that.
Ooh, look at you with the mic drop moments.
Well, I'm glad it makes sense, because it is difficult to talk about things that are very personal to each specific person, and I hate to like overgeneralize any healing modality, and I think what's important to note about past life regression is it's not an age regression. So this isn't, you as Erica going back to like 5-year-old Erica and what did she experience then? It's going back even farther to, what are you carrying with you? And I see it as weight. That's just how kind of energy works for me, is like, what weight have you continued to bear throughout lifetime? How can you kind of release yourself of that weight and just feel a little lighter and feel a little easier?
Yeah. Right. Like, what baggage did you bring in? Like, what baggage,
Right,
like,
what did you already come with? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Let's check those.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That.
And we're not really given that opportunity as children to be like, hey, what feels outside of you, I mean, I think we are moving into that much more these days, is allowing children to really kind of have a little more power within of themselves. And so maybe that might affect them as adults, hopefully in a good way, but at least in the 90s, late 80s, 90s,
right.
when I was growing up, it was, you didn't question, you didn't talk back. You didn't say, well, that doesn't feel right. You was like, oh, I guess I must be wrong because everyone else is saying this, and I think for me, at least, it's coming back to like, well, that doesn't sit right with me. And so why is that? And if I can't get to the answer now in my daily life, it's bigger than me. And so I go back and see, what's coming up.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, man, thank you so much for this, guys. If you are interested in learning more about all of the incredible offers that Sabrina offers, I've had Reiki with her, which was incredible. PLR, sound healing. She is such an incredible healer, and she is just great. And we love her here at ILS as well. You can head on over to www.vigorandsage.com, and you can also follow her on Instagram, right?
Yes, Vigor and Sage. Yay.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on, and I'll see you guys next week.
Thank you.